Hello folks, I hope you're all doing well on this lovely day. How's social distancing and social isolation going for you? It's all great here. We're into week 2 of lockdown in the UK, but that's why I am hoping over the next however long we are in the situation for to bring you lots of bookish content which hopefully will wash away any sadness or sorrows people might be feeling. And I'm going to start this with what is possibly the shortest wrap-up in the history of wrap-ups, and that is for the month of March. So let's get into it. Hello, welcome back to Stagey Bookish, and yes, you heard that right. Welcome to what is probably going to be the shortest wrap-up in the history of wrap-ups in the entire world. I should probably explain, this being my March 2020 wrap-up. Through the biggest majority of March, I have been going through the biggest reading slump of my entire life, certainly in living memory. I think personally, I have my own mental health issues. Everything's been going on in the world with coronavirus, and then it wasn't here, then it was here, then it was, well, what's going to happen? And then it's like, I'm now working from home, and I'm not working from home. Oh, actually, now I can't go outside. And quite frankly, I think my brain's just been a bit... So I've read next to nothing in March. I've read some things, and I'm going to talk about those. But I've read next to nothing in March. And I'll be honest about that. And I'm not upset by that because, like I said, the way the world has been going, I'm not surprised. For everybody, it's going to have been just anxiety left, right and centre. So I'm not angry at myself, but that just means that you're not going to have a lot from me in this video. When I posted my March TBR, which I will link down below if you didn't see it, I mentioned in that video I had read 3 books already, one of which was my favourite of 2020 so far. So they're the first 3 books I read in March. I'm not going to say a lot more about them because I talked about them in my TBR because I'd already read them when I filmed that video. So have a look down below for that one. The books were Pages & Co, Tilly and the Book Wanderers. Pages & Co, I think it's Tilly and the Lost Fairy Tales. They were both by Anna James, who's a fabulous author, and she's just confirmed the title for book 3. Highly recommended. And the other book that I read, which is, spoiler alert, my favourite of 2020 so far, is We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Magier. Why I'd been sleeping on that book, I don't know. But I was, and I read it, and it was sensational, and I'm hoping to get to, I know the sequel's out in April. I do have an arc. It's called We Unleash the Merciless Storm. So I'm hoping to get to those. So I've mentioned all of those in that video below. So check the video out down here. Like I said then, for the majority of March, I got no reading done. My brain wouldn't focus. I couldn't even get into audiobooks. That was until this kind of whole social distancing lockdown happened, and being I'm a librarian by day, I put out onto Library and Bookseller Twitter, of which I am a part, those people are offering to give, booksellers were offering to give recommendations. So I said, okay, recommend me a title to get me out of a reading slump. And it was like, I did have some titles that were recommended to me that were arcs, which I haven't read yet, but if you check out my April TBR and my reading plans, they might be mentioned there. But I had the privilege of hearing from one bookseller in particular who gave me a whole list of things, but there was 2 books at the top of her list that really grabbed my attention and were both, one of them was a recent purchase and one of them actually came in a recent subscription box. So I was like, oh okay, I'll try those out. They're different. Not something I normally gravitate to straight away. And ironically, the first of the 2 books that I'm going to talk about, the morning it was suggested to me by this bookseller on Twitter, my subscription box for a book subscription box, which I won't name because I don't want to spoil it, came that day, and I have like the books only, and this title was the book of the month from that book subscription company. And I messaged this bookseller going, you never gonna guess what's just come through my door, and it's fate. So I was like, oh my god, I have to read it. Is this the signed edition I've got here? Yes, it is. So the first book that is slowly getting me out of my reading slump, I'm certainly on the way back, is Melinda Salisbury's Hold Back the Tide. I've heard of this author before. I know she's done, is it The State of Sorrow? There's kind of a whole trilogy that she's done. And she's done one, I think it's called The Sin Eater's Daughter? Something to that effect. I think this only came out couple of weeks ago. It had been one that was on my radar, but I didn't much think of it until the story with the bookseller, and then it came in the post, and I was like, that means I have to read it now. Spooky, spooky, spooky. I seem to have a thing for gothic books at the moment, so let me read you the blurb and I can tell you a bit more about the story. So, it's set in the Scottish Highlands, by the way, so yes. Here are the rules of living with a murderer. Everyone in Ormscowler, I'm not sure if it's right, knows what happened to Alva Douglas's mother all those years ago. It's why Alva can't wait to leave. But when dark forces begin to stir in the surrounding mountains, Alva has to face a very different future to the one she's been dreaming of, and questions everything she thought she knew about her past. A chilling tale about the dire costs of secrecy and greed. Hold back the tide, will sink its teeth into you and never let you go. I apologise for my pronunciation. So I knew this was spooky, I knew it was a thriller, I knew it was very gothic-y, I knew it was Scottish Highlands, so I was like, ooh, yeah, that's kind of wind and rain and kind of thunderstorms at really appropriate times, and I really enjoyed this. The best thing I can say about it is, genre-wise, it's kind of a mystery thriller with a little bit of horror and a little bit of an eco twist. If you've read this, you'll know what I mean. The horror wasn't over whatsoever. I'm a wuss when it comes to horror. And it's just this couple of lines that could be argued to be a little bit horror. But I really enjoyed this. The mystery and kind of how it unravelled, I thought it was brilliant. The kind of relationship that Alva has with her father, and you're like, oh, you can tell, she thinks, I can say this is no spoilers, she thinks her dad killed her mum all these years ago. She heard it happen. She was in her bedroom and she heard shots fired. The next morning her mother was gone. So she has lived for years thinking her father killed her mother with no reason at all. So she's essentially, at the start of the book, she's planning to get away from her dad. She's got a new job in a town nearby, and she's got a travel planned, and she's been writing letters. There is a potential kind of friend from the town called Wren who has interesting part to play in this story, but she's all set to leave and get away from her father. Then something happens, and I can't say any more because we will be going into spoiler territory. Highly recommend it. I think I gave this four and a half stars out of 5. Really, really good. Really liked it. The other one, which I literally finished this morning, and I'm a little bit obsessed, but it worries me, the content of this book, that I'm that obsessed, and I apologise. I'm going to take my bookmark out for the label that's still on the cover. But this was another recommendation from the same bookseller, read Foul is Fair by Hannah Cappin. This book is fucked up. This is like, you all know I love my musical theatre. This is like Heathers on crack. It's unreal. Short version of the story, you have got four friends, Jade, Summer, Mads and Jenny, who are these kind of LA party girls. They run their little scene. At the start of the book, they decide to crash a party being held by the students at this really kind of posh prep school called St Andrews for Jade's sweet 16th. So they're going to go and gate crash a party. Unfortunately, what you come to learn is that at that party, Jade actually Jade gets drugged, she gets her drink spiked, and she gets raped by a group of students from this prep school. Rather than kind of shy away from this, she decides in all which way possible that with her best friends, her coven, if you like, that she's going to kill all the boys that did this to her. And there goes her breaking down the hierarchy of these lads and everything they do and everything they stand for. It says on the back, people say this is an unapologetic feminist battle cry. My, is it that? But the way this is weaved together is stunning. If you know the reference in the title and what Shakespeare play that's from, you will have a gist of what happens here. And I'm not going to go into it because if you don't know, look that up. And you'll see where a lot of the story inspiration is from, even down to the names of some of the characters. But this was dark, it was intense, it was graphic, it was messed up, and I really liked it. I'm sitting on a rating for this, so I'll check my Goodreads, which is also linked down below. This will come back to you about what I think of this, but I'd recommend it as there's lots of trigger warnings for things, so please check those out before you pick it up. But I really enjoyed this. And now, as I am filming this on the 28th of March, which, if it wasn't for coronavirus, I wouldn't be able to film because I'd be at my little sister's wedding day. Yeah, that happened. So I'm filming this on the 28th of March, so I've got 3 days left of March, and I definitely want to start something else because I feel like I'm on a flow of things. So these will potentially be starting in March, finishing in April kind of things. And like I said, you'll see my April TBR and my reading plans soon. But the two books that are really pulling my eye at the moment are this one, Rules for Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. This in America, I know it was published as 8 Perfect Murders with like a blue cover. And basically you've got a guy who's a bookseller and he writes a blog for the bookshop where he works, talking about the top murders ever done in literature. All the really good murders and how they were done. Then someone, a serial killer it seems, starts mimicking that list. And he has to try and work out what the hell's going on. So I'm thinking, if I'm into, if I'm really liking some intense messed up stuff at the moment, this could be a good way to go. Another book that is grabbing my attention purely for its aesthetic. I think I saw this recommended by Reagan over at Peruse Project, but for the aesthetic of the kind of cover, and I've never looked under the hardcover. Oh, that's a nice colour. But for the aesthetic alone, I'm also fascinated by this Steel Crow Saga by Paul Kruger. Look at this. It is stunning. Look, I mean, so this is a chunky ass fantasy book. We're talking, one second, we're talking, screws eyes up so it doesn't look at any spoilers. We're talking 500-page bad boy. I'm sure this is one Reagan said it's something like Pokemon meets Avatar: The Last Airbender. I might be right, I might be wrong. Let's have a look at the blurb. A soldier with a curse, a prince with a debt, a detective with a grudge, a thief with a broken heart. A band of rogues and royals who should be enemies might find a common purpose unites them, defeating an unstoppable killer who defies the laws of magic. And in the process, they'll change their lives. So I think they're probably going to be my next ones, but I sense that might be more I'll start it in March and finish it in April. If it's not, check out my Goodreads, and it's my first book, another book ranked towards my March total. Yeah, so that's it. That's the shortest wrap-up ever in the history of wrap-ups. I hope you enjoyed these. Let me know what books you read in March. If you want to recommend me some books to continue to get me out of this reading slump, hit me up in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Stay well and stay safe, everybody. Wherever you are, I hope you can just make the most of the time we have in this kind of social isolation and are looking after yourselves and your family as best as you can. My name is Olivia. This is Stagey Bookish. I'll see you, awesome folks, on my next video. Bye!